The button. Good afternoon and welcome to what could otherwise be described as not necessarily an ordinary meeting of the Wellington Shire Council on this Tuesday, the 7th of April 2020. We can dispense, I think, with the advice to the public gallery today because it's non-existent. And before we move to the acknowledgement and the prayer, can I just say in opening this meeting that this meeting with its limited number of councillors, and I'd like to thank each of the councillors who are here today, has been organised on the basis that, in accordance with the Local Government Act, that there is a requirement for us to meet in person. Notwithstanding that we've been conducting business and trying to deal with social distancing and behaving in accordance with the Chief Health Officer's information, the Premier's information and the instructions that we all need to adhere to, but nevertheless the Local Government Act requires that we meet in person, and at this stage the Minister for Local Government has not found an opportunity, we believe, yet to organise for Parliament to reconsider that position, so here we are. Also note that, in fact, in regard to Councillors Hole, Councillor Marr, Councillor Stevens and Councillor Rossetti, that each one of those is absent on the basis of leave, on the basis of the fact that we are required as a minimum to have a quorum of 5. And as I said, I'm grateful for my 4 colleagues for attending today so that we could satisfy this statutory requirement. It in fact is indeed very difficult times that we are living in. And can we just implore people who may be watching this remotely to continue with all of the directions that you're receiving from government so that we all might come out of this at the other end at some point in time, and we'll look back on this interesting period in our lives. So moving on, can we acknowledge the traditional custodians? I should stand for this one. Losing my place. We acknowledge the traditional custodians of this land, the Gunai people, and pay respects to their elders past and present. Almighty God, we ask your blessing upon the Wellington Shire Council, its councillors, officers, staff and their families. We pray for your guidance in our decisions so that the true good of the Wellington Shire Council may result to the benefit of all residents and community groups. Amen. Amen. So we've dealt with, I believe, CEO, in the preamble, the apologies. We'll just note those apologies and the circumstance in which gives rise to them. I note there are no declarations of conflicts of interest, otherwise we'd be in more trouble than the early settlers. Could we move on to the confirmation of minutes? Councillor Bai. Thanks, Mayor. I move the Council adopt the minutes and resolutions of the Ordinary Council meeting of the 17th of March 2020. Have a second to Councillor McMillan. Is that motion opposed? If not, the motion is carried. Moving on. No business arising from previous minutes. Previous meeting, CEO? No. Moving on to item A6, we have in fact 2 late items to deal with. The first one, item A6.1, adoption of revised 2020 council meetings. I think we need to move that late item be accepted. Councillor McMillan moved that the late item be accepted. Councillor Ripper seconds that late item be accepted. Is that opposed? If not, the motion is carried. Councillor Ripper, would you like to in fact move to item A6.1?
Yes, Mayor. I'd like to move the Council formally adopt the revised dates of the proposed 2020 revised Council meetings from July 2020 to December 2020 as attached. Council make public a schedule of revised Council meetings for the remainder of the 2020 calendar year, and Council formally review any changes to the attached meeting schedule once removal of all COVID-19 related restrictions are announced.
Second for that motion. Councillor Crosley by just that much. Is that motion opposed? If not, the motion is carried. Do you wish to speak to that, Councillor Ripper?
Mayor, as the background is quite clear on the up there, I don't need to go any further. It is very clear. Everyone knows what's happening at the time. We need now to be safe and to follow the regulations that the state and federal government have put in situ.
Thanks, Councillor Ripper. Can we move on to the second late item? And we've accepted late items. So move that the second late item be accepted. Councillor McMillan, seconded. Councillor Crosley. That's not opposed. The motion is carried. Moving on then to item A6.2. Sorry, ACE.
3.3.
3.3? How did that happen? No, it can't be 3.3. Because 3.3 is in fact quarterly strategic land use planning. So this would have to be item A6 brackets 2. So that it needs to be renamed, and thank you for just seeing if I was awake. So good job on that. Councillor McMillan.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to move that Council allocates $470,000 to fund an initial COVID-19 support package, which includes the waiving of portable advertising permit fee effective for permits for the period of 1st of August 2020 to 31 of July 2021, waiving of alfresco dining permit fee effective for permits for the period of 1st of August 2020 to 31st of July 2021, waiving of roadside trading permit fees for Wellington-based businesses for the operation of trading between the 8th of April 2020 to 31st of December 2020, waiving of tenancy costs for council-managed commercial properties and 4 caravan parks leased through council effective 23rd of March 2020 to 22nd of August 2020, waiving of 2021 annual food and health regulation fee effective for applications and renewals for the 2021 registration year. Fund a 100% subsidy to cover annual membership for businesses to join their local business, tourism and traders association, which includes the Dargo Business and Tourism Association, Hayfield Traders and Tourism, Locksport Business and Tourism Association, Mafra Business and Tourist Association, Port Albert Progress Association, Rosedale Chamber of Commerce, Stratford Business and Sale Stratford Business and Tourism Association, Straightforward, Yarram Traders and Tourism Association, and waiving of planning permit application fees for business and or commercial developments effective 8th of April 2020 to 31st of December 2020. That Council note the following additional Wellington Shire COVID-19 support package initiatives. Launch a new council Facebook group encouraging businesses to promote new delivery services to enable consumers to access locally delivered services. Expand the council website to include current business support information available to Wellington-based businesses. Launch a Wellington-based marketing campaign once the COVID-19 shutdown concludes to support local businesses. Work to pay all suppliers, contractors as quickly as possible. Meet with local businesses to understand their needs and direct business owners to available Victorian and Australian government support initiatives.
Thanks, Councillor McMillan. The seconder for that motion was Councillor Bai. Is that motion opposed? The motion is carried. Councillor McMillan.
Thank you very much, Mr Mayor. And look, I know I'm meant to speak to this briefly because of the nature of the business today, but I think it certainly does not underestimate the work that our businesses and our local communities are suffering at this particular time. And we'd like to thank the assistance from both the state and the federal government which are making this possible. This is a very, very difficult time, but I know that the businesses will come through this, but will only come through this by working together. I think some of the key initiatives that Council has put forward is the funding of the 100% subsidy to cover the annual membership fee for businesses to join their local business, tourism and traders association. I think it's very, very important at this important time that traders work together to look at their problems together and work together to be able to solve their individual problems. And that doesn't necessarily mean, of course, that they meet together, but at least they can use each other as to bounce ideas off in the sort of online forums that we've currently got. It's really important that we all work together at this particular time, and by subsidising those fees, the 100% subsidy for those fees allows people to join those organisations and have strong groups within their local communities working with the traders to ensure that we all come through this. Some of those other initiatives, such as the waiving of the trading permits, I think the planning permit application fees for business to be completely waived, the portable advertising permits, anything that we possibly can do to make it easy on businesses we have tried to do through this package, and to understand that we're continually reviewing our processes to ensure that businesses are looked after. And we absolutely understand, if we can be absolutely clear, that what Council is doing here is just a small fraction of what businesses are going through. We absolutely understand that we cannot replace all the people that you have lost in this time, the customers that you have lost in this time. However, we will stand with you as we go through this time, this challenging time together, and we look forward to better business opportunities into the future. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor McMillan, and I think this is a great initiative. We don't know what the future holds. I do remember saying just a little while ago in my small community, as I looked at the impacts that we'd had post the fire, I thought, I think I did say out loud, what if we lost Easter trading too? and then I find myself saying, please don't come and visit us. It's incredibly difficult time, and I think the superannuation funds have got a great jingle for this. We're all in this together. So we will all do our best to come out of this the other end at some point in time, but I'm grateful for the team to have pulled this together for us quickly, to get us out there, to let our communities know that we're thinking of them, and thank you for that, Councillor McMillan. No notices of motion, CEO? No petitions. And today, no invited addresses, presentations or acknowledgements. No questions on notice. And I'm guessing on the basis of the 5 of us assembled here today that there's probably no report of delegates either. Moving on to officers' report, item C2, item C2.1, Assembly of Councillors.
Thanks, Mayor. I'll move the Council note and receive the attached Assembly of Council records for the period 12th of March 2020 to the 1st of April 2020.
Seconded by Councillor Crossley. Is that opposed? If not, the motion is carried. Moving on to item C2.2, Remuneration Committee minutes. Councillor Crossley.
Thank you, Mayor. I move that 1, Council note and receive the minutes from the Remuneration Committee meeting held on the 3rd of March 2020 as attached, and 2, Council endorse the actions from the Remuneration Committee meeting held on the 3rd of March 2020 as detailed in the attached minutes.
Seconder for that motion, Councillor Ripper. Is that motion opposed? If not, the motion is carried. Councillor Crossley, move on. Moving on to item C2.3, which is S11A, Instrument of Appointment, Bimal Narayan. Councillor Crossley.
Thank you, Dear Mayor. I move that Council, in exercising of the power referred by Section 224 of the Local Government Act 1989 Act and the other legislation referred to in the attached S11A Instrument of Appointment and Authorisation (brackets the instrument), resolve that 1, Council Officer Bimal Narayan be appointed and authorised as set out in the instrument as provided at attachment 1, and 2, the instrument be signed and sealed by the Chief Executive Officer.
Seconded by Councillor Bai. Is that motion opposed? If not, the motion is carried.
Just to quickly, this is an administrative motion to cover a new officer in that field.
Thanks, Councillor Crossley. Moving on to item C3.1, Quarterly Building Report Q4 2019.
Thanks, Mayor. I move the Council note the report of building permits issued from the 1st of October 2019 to the 31st of December 2019.
That's seconded by Councillor Crossley. Is that motion opposed? If not, the motion is carried. Councillor Bai.
Just quickly, Mayor, on the last 3 months from October through to December, we issued 258 permits with a value of just over $39 million. So still in this climate, it's quite pleasing to see the amount of permits that were issued and the value of those permits.
Thanks, Councillor Bai. Moving on to item C3.3, Quarterly Strategic Land Use Planning Update. I think we're in your hands again, Councillor Bai.
I move that Council receive the first quarterly update on the Strategic Land Use Planning Work Program, including the strategic planning projects and amendments table attached to this report.
Second for that motion, Councillor McMillan. Is that motion opposed? If not, the motion is carried. Councillor Bai.
Thanks, Mayor. This report's the same as last time presented it. We're still working hard in the planning department with the North Sale Development Plan, the West Sale and Warwick Industrial Land Strategy, the planning for the Economic Growth Zone, and the Port of Sale East Bank redevelopment study. And of course, the new one that was added, was the MAFRA structure plan. So yeah, we're still going quite strong on all those and progressing well.
Thanks, Councillor Bai. Moving on to item C4.1, Adoption of the Sustainable Strategy 2020-2024. Councillor McMillan.
I'd like to move that Council adopt the Sustainability Strategy of 2020 to 2024 as the key driver of Council's 4 years' objectives, goals and actions in relation to council and community sustainability.
Councillor Crossley seconded that motion. Is that motion opposed? If not, the motion is carried. Councillor McMillan.
Thank you very much. I'd like to say a few key words in regard to this important strategy document for the Council moving forward. One thing that we have noticed during this whole COVID-19 pandemic is that how our quality of life, how our normality can be quite easily disrupted, and how precious that normality is. And really the sustainability strategy is about that. It's about protecting our way of life, protecting the green community that we enjoy, the clean water, the clean air, the quality of life. And there are a number of initiatives within that sustainability strategy which seek to do that. And also, I might say, to save the council money. And in intending that, I should mention that this document at this stage has no new expenditures, no dollars attached to it. They, of course, will be discussed and debated and argued when we come to the budget period of time. So this document really is a roadmap moving forward to a number of strategies which preserve our quality of life and answer a number of questions. For example, if you look at our carbon footprint, and you look at what is creating our carbon footprint, we can have a lot of discussion about our fleet and about our corporate structures and about our electricity. But if you look at it, it's actually our landfill. I think 28,000 tonnes of our landfill is contributing to our carbon debt, as against about 1,000 to our fleet. So it says to you, what should we concentrate on if we are to preserve and protect our community? So our landfill is one thing that we're certainly going to be looking at. And what does it mean to have a sustainable community? What does that mean? What does that look like? And you only need to look at a community like Lacola to see what a sustainability strategy can do for that community. Now, Lacola, as you know, is a fantastic community with a resilient group of people, but live off-grid. And quite recently, they did a sustainability strategy in which they looked at the Lions Village, and I give credit where credit's due to both the Lions Group, to the Lacola community, to the Hayfield Neighbourhood House, who did an enormous amount of work, and indeed to the Community Power Hub, which did some work on that, and of course Rockies and others who stepped up to the plate. Now, what they did was they did an efficiency strategy which looked at the sustainability of their community. And if I can give you some figures, because they arrived on my desk this morning, in January of last year, they were consuming 7,000 litres of diesel. Well, they did a sustainability strategy. They looked at PV installations. They looked at a whole range of things. In fact, they put air conditioners in and a whole lot of things that actually improved the comfort of the village. It was 7,000 in January of last year. January of this year, it was 371. So it went from 7,000 litres to 370 litres. That's a 94% saving in diesel for that community. Amazing amount saved in that community. And of course, you're now using PV, solar. It's a greener, cleaner environment, cleaner air, cleaner atmosphere, and a better community, a more livable community. In February, it went from 5,104 litres to 417. And in fact, in February, they had no drop-off in people visiting. Even now, in the old days, the diesel generators would be going even now just to keep the security lighting on. And right now, of course, with solar PV, there is no need for any diesel within the Lacola community. So Lacola is a community that, through their sustainability strategy, have made their environment better and have saved thousands of litres of diesel. And of course, the money that is associated with that. And look, the idea of us creating a sustainability strategy is we can look in the organisation, save money and save our environment and create a better community for here in Wellington. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor McCubbin. Moving on to item C4.2, Lloyd Street Special Charge Construction Scheme, intention to declare scheme. Councillor Ripper.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to move that Council commence the statutory process under the Local Government Act 1989, the Act to declare a special charge scheme for the purpose of construction, Lloyd Street south of Redbank Road in Stratford, and providing all and any ancillary works, including drainage and vehicle crossings. And paragraph 2, paragraph 3, and paragraph 4. And I have to include 3. Do I go back up?
Paragraph 4, that's
okay,
right, Councillor.
Paragraph 4, I will read. Council appoint 3 councillors as determined by Council plus an alternative representative to form the Lloyd Street North Special Charge Submissions Committee. and that will be Councillor Ripper, Councillor Hole, Councillor Crosley, with the alternate Councillor McCubbin. That is established by Council under Section 2231B1 of the Act. Consider written submissions/objections and to hear any persons who in their written submissions under Section 223 and the Act have requested that they are heard in support of the submissions and. Paragraph 5 as read. Paragraph 6 as read. Paragraph 7 as read.
Second of that motion. Councillor Bly. Pardon me. Is that motion opposed? If not, the motion is carried. Councillor Ripper.
Thank you, Mayor. Lloyd Street is in Stratford. It's a residential area south of Redbank Road. It's ill-formed, unsealed gravel road, approximately 160 metres. It's managed by the Wellington Shire. All 75% of everyone that replied was in support of the scheme. Some figures are, based on the following framework within the residential road and street construction plan and as otherwise considered by council officers to be fair and reasonable, based on the total special benefits and community benefits to be provided by the works. $42,000 of the costs are to be apportioned to properties within the special charge scheme, with the balance funded by council. Amount apportioned to properties within scheme $42,000, portion of cost to be recovered from councillors as direct cost $408,000. Total estimated cost of the scheme is $450,000. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Ripper. And if we could move on to item C, 4.3 McMillan Street Special Charge Construction Scheme, intention to declare scheme. And I think we're back in your hands again, Councillor Ripper.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to move that Council commence the statutory process under the Local Government Act 1989, the Act to declare a special charge scheme for the purpose of constructing McMillan Street east of Davis Street in Stratford and providing all and any ancillary works, including the drainage and vehicle crossings and. Para 2 is read, Para 3 is read. Para 4, Council appoint 3 councillors determined by Council plus an alternative representative to form the McMillan Street East Special Charge Submission Scheme. That will be Councillor Ripper, Councillor Hole, Councillor Crosley, and the alternate will be Councillor McCubbin. That is established by Council under Section 2231B1 of the Act to consider written submissions, objections, and to hear any persons who in their written submissions under Sections 223 of the Act have requested that they are heard in support of their submissions. And let's take Para 5, Para 6 and Para 7 as read.
Second of that motion, Councillor McCubbin. Is that motion opposed? If not, that motion is carried. Councillor Ripper, do you want to speak to that one?
Mayor, I think that is self-explanatory, just to follow on from Lloyd Street. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Moving on to item C 4.4, Guthridge Parade South Special Charge Street Construction Scheme, intention to declare scheme. Councillor Bye.
Thanks, Mayor. I move that Council commence the statutory process under the Local Government Act 1989, the Act, to declare a special charge scheme for the purposes of constructing Guthridge Parade South of Montgomery Street in sale and providing all any ancillary works including drainage and vehicle crossings. I'll move item 2 as read, item 3, paragraph as read. Paragraph 4, Council appoints 3 councillors being Councillor Bye, McCubbin and Rossetti as determined by Council plus an alternative being Councillor Crosley to form the Guthridge Parade South Special Charge Scheme Submissions Committee that is established by Council under Section 2231BI of the Act to consider written submissions, objections and to hear any persons who in their written submissions under Section 223 of the Act have requested that they are heard in support of their submissions. And paragraphs 5, 6 and 7 as read.
Thanks, Councillor Bye. That's seconded by Councillor McCubbin. Is that motion opposed? If not, the motion is carried.
Thanks, Mayor. Just a quick one on this. This is a very important special charge scheme. It is upgrading the road that goes from Montgomery Street through to Stevens. And what this does is accessibility to Stevenson's Park, which is our most used sporting precinct. It'll tidy that piece of road up. It'll allow it to flow on from Fauna Park, where the road was done quite some years ago, and just make that end of sale, which has high access, a lot safer for the future.
Thanks, Councillor Bai. Moving on to item C 4.5, MAV Utility Service Contract Natural Gas Supply. Councillor McMillan.
Thank you. I'd like to move that Council adopts the outcome of the MAV recommendation report for the supply of natural gas to large buildings and facilities, MAV EC A8310 to 2019, as attached at the item F1.1 of the Council meeting agenda, and I'll take 2 as read.
Second for that motion, Councillor Bai. Is that motion opposed? If not, the motion is carried. Councillor McMillan?
No, it's self-explanatory.
Thank you. And I just, I'm pleased to announce that the successful tenderer is Origin Energy. Moving on to item C5, I understand, Councillor Crosley, it's your proposal that you move these items simultaneously?
Yes, if the council indulged, that we move that the C5.1, the Gippsland Art Gallery Advisory Group minutes, C5.2, Bryagalon Recreation Reserve, and C5.3, Gordon Street Recreation Reserve, that we council receive the minutes of all of those groups held on those various dates.
Second for that motion, Councillor McCubbin. Is that motion opposed? If not, the motion is carried. Councillor Crosley, done. No urgent business, CEO?
None, Mayor.
And I gather we've got no gallery or chat room comments?
1 second, Mayor.
Just
check the chat room one last time. Nothing there, Mayor.
Given that, there's no need to move into closed session. On that basis, that we will declare the meeting closed at 3:26.
Well done.